infection everywhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That just appeared days ago.
Yeah. And see how deep it goes? Like, that's insane.
Ryan Green is a victim of a new street drug, eating away at the bodies of those who use it.
My arm swelled up like about this big, and it was like an abscess. It hurt so bad. This is a real trank sword.
Trank is fentanyl mixed with xylazine, an animal tranquilizer meant for horses and cattle.
You end up unconscious to the point where people will just rob you when you're asleep every time.
And it's completely taken over Philadelphia's Kensington neighborhood, block after block of devastating harm.
For about a year now, there's been this mobile clinic coming to this neighborhood because so many people here have terrible skin rotting wounds from the drug.
You stay safe. How you doing? All right, what are we going to do first? Your arm and then your head? All right, take a deep breath. I'm sorry. You know, I don't mean to hurt you.
The clinic is run by the city and a local hospital, and Ryan is a regular here.
Yeah, this hurts really bad.
That hurts because it's really infected.
Nurse practitioner Michelle Murphy-Rosansky treats about 25 patients every day.
You okay? We see people who've lost multiple body parts. In the summer, we do see a lot of maggots because they get into the wounds. Yeah, it's brutal.
Like so many, Ryan at first didn't know his fentanyl had been cut with xylazine. Now he's addicted to the mix.
But still come back tomorrow. Let me write the prescription, so don't leave yet.
What's happening here is extreme, but it could also serve as a warning because trank is showing up in Canada too, making the overdose crisis even worse.
The Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addiction says xylazine or trank has emerged as an increasingly common cutting agent.
Now, Health Canada is warning that trank is being found more in Canada.
Health Canada says cases of xylazine in street drugs it analyzed jumped from 5 to more than 1,300 over the last 5 years. It's being found most in Ontario.
We're in Windsor, a border city in southern Ontario, and it's been hit really hard by the opioid crisis with rising overdose deaths. And like in Philadelphia, outreach workers and people who use drugs say the drug supply here is becoming even more toxic.
The levels are nowhere near Philadelphia. Still, with Trank's arrival here, Lacey Kresman's outreach has become more urgent.
What can I get for you?
Narcan, both
injectable and nasal?
She distributes supplies so people can use drugs safely.
You remember when I was here the other day, I was talking about that xylazine stuff?
Trank, right?
Right. It changes how we respond to overdose. It looks a lot different. So
I've even noticed that because people who are on Fetty that don't know they're doing trank, they'll be stumbling and be like, I'm not high. And you're like, you can't even stand straight. You are high on something. Thank you.
Is the situation getting worse here?
I don't know if it's getting worse. What I will say is I think it's getting more complex in the way that we offer outreach services. Have you guys heard about xylazine?
No.
It's causing a lot of skin wounds and
shit like that?
Exactly like that.
This is healed. That's 2 months healed.
Lacey quickly comes across this man who says he overdosed, was given naloxone to reverse it moments before.
How long were you Narcan ago? You know that you can go back into overdose though, right? Do you want me to wait with him while you go get him a drink?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
No one knows what he's taken, so Lacey keeps close, because if it's xylazine, naloxone won't work. That's part of why Lacey is so worried.
How dangerous is that when someone, gets fentanyl, they don't know trank is in it, they take it, and they just didn't know what they had? How dangerous is that for them?
It's not dangerous, it's fatal. I'm training people on how to respond to polysubstance overdoses. And right now, that could be anything. And so we want to keep people alive. We want to keep them breathing.
Ontario's chief coroner says xylazine has been detected in more than 100 overdose deaths since 2020. Windsor police say they've found fentanyl mixed with xylazine in 2 drug busts since 2022. It's not clear if it was added locally, but in some ways it doesn't matter.
We've already had 2 confirmed xylazine deaths in Windsor, Essex.
Where xylazine was in the fentanyl someone took.
Yes. And unfortunately, it's always playing a game of catch up. I'm sure that it's a lot worse than what we're seeing, in the statistics right now.
That makes knowing what's in drugs so important. In Toronto, street drugs from around the city are dropped off here every day.
Hi, how's it going?
A lab at St. Michael's Hospital,
It's supposed to be fentanyl.
where testing is done to see what's in them.
Caffeine, benzoyl, a little bit of aprazolam.
Karen McDonald is with the Toronto Drug Checking Service.
So we found 7 drugs in this sample. That includes floral fentanyl. We also found bromazolam. We found xylazine. So xylazine is a central nervous system depressant, and so using it in combination with fentanyl increases the risk of dangerous suppression of the vitals. It is a drug that is not approved for human use. In the spring of 2022 was when it was really at its peak. We were finding xylazine in 20% of the fentanyl samples that we checked.
This peak here, this is xylazine.
Levels fluctuate, hovering around 10% for this year. But that could change, or other unexpected additives could show up at any time.
So what that means is that the drug supply is getting stronger. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. More contaminated, less predictable.
I am a person who uses drugs. Right now, I am not in active use.
There's not much testing in Windsor. That means Brandon Bailey, who struggles staying clean, might never know what he's actually taking.
That's scary. There is times where I've relapsed, where I've wanted to not use, and then I ended up using on a day. And yeah, when I end up with something that has that, I'm not the person that I want to be.
Have you had an experience where you've overdosed?
I've had it where I've gone to sleep and then I wake up and I don't have any concept. So I could have been overdosing. I don't know. I could have died. It's not just people who are living in poverty or people who are homeless. It's happening to absolutely anybody.
The real battle, getting ahead of tranq before it really takes hold here.
Testing is paramount to be able to better support people who are using the substances, and funding for those initiatives are really, really important in the work that we do.
Still, it's the personal toll that drives Lacey. She knows all too well what's at stake.
I'm so struck by when you talk about the fact that most of your friends from high school have died because of overdoses.
Yeah.
That's really heavy.
It is really heavy. And my hope is that it will change.
Back in Philadelphia, ground zero for tackling tranq,
Now it's been found in 48 out of 50 states.
Mel Bettis remains determined.
I know you want it.
In recovery herself, Bettis works with Savage Sisters, one of the main outreach organizations in Kensington.
So both my arms were completely open from like here to here. I was fortunate enough that they healed and I got tattoos over them.
To cover the scars?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does the shark mean anything?
I just like sharks.
Just like sharks. We're starting to see tranq a little bit more in Canada, which is why we're here. What would you say to communities where it is starting to appear?
Educate yourselves, learn as much as you can. A big thing is stigma in the language you use. This isn't anybody's like plan for themselves. You know, nobody chooses this.